Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Prashanti Nilayam. Last week, I started on the Ayodhya Kandam and had come up to the point where Rama was told by Kaikeyi that Dasaratha had allowed Kaikeyi to ask the two boons granted to her a long time ago. Kaikeyi had done so, and as a result, Rama would have to go on exile to the forest immediately for a period of 14 years, leaving the throne to Bharata, who would rule instead. Rama immediately agreed to, without a word of protest. Instead, he bowed at the feet of his father, who was lying on the ground barely conscious, after which he went clockwise 3 times around Dasaratha and Kaikeyi and then quietly withdrew. Coming out, Rama was joined by Lakshmana and Sumantra, and as he left, Rama signaled to the crowd gathered there that he did not want any greetings or adoration. Sensing that something was wrong, Lakshmana made inquiries, and Rama briefly described what had transpired. At the level of the heart, Rama and Lakshmana were one. However, at this moment, while Rama was the very embodiment of calm and equipoise, Lakshmana was exactly the opposite, boiling with fury inside. Forbidding the use of the traditional royal umbrella, Rama, accompanied by Lakshmana, then quickly drove to Kausalya's apartment. News of the latest developments seemed to have spread, for when Rama reached Kausalya's apartment, he was greeted on the outside not by gaiety and cheer, but by loud lamentations. Inside the building, however, the mood was very different, since the news about Rama being exiled had not yet reached there. And when Rama presented himself before Kausalya, full of joy, she showered blessings upon him. After prostrating at her feet, Rama said in a cool and collected voice, "Mother, what I am about to tell you may not be pleasant, but there are times when we must be ready for the twists of destiny, whatever they be. I am here to take leave of you, and leave I must, because I have been commanded to go forthwith on exile into the forest for 14 years, living in seclusion as a hermit. If ever there was a bolt from the blue, this was it. And no wonder Kausalya instantly swooned without even saying a single word." Rushing to Kausalya's side, Rama gently lifted and caressed her. And when she regained her senses, she learned from Rama the details of how there had been a sudden and dramatic reversal of fortune. And when she became aware of the full significance of what was about to happen, Kausalya began to cry loudly and wail like a cow that had just lost her tender calf. In between sobs, she said in a choking voice, "For years I was childless. Why did I not remain that way? Why did I have to bear a treasure like you, only to see it slip out of my hand so suddenly? Hardly ever esteemed by my husband, I was always slighted in preference to Kaikeyi and snubbed at every conceivable opportunity. As if all that was not enough, That cruel woman has now done to me the ultimate injustice, totally undeserved. Rama, do you understand that even if my body might live while you are away, I am as good as dead? Without you, I am just not going to live here in this prison for even one single moment. Instead, I shall follow you wherever you go, like a loving cow follows its calf. Allowing Kausalya to exhaust her anguish, Rama remained silent and did not immediately respond. However, Lakshmana, thus far a silent witness, could hold back no more. Giving full vent to the anger bottled up, he exploded. Mother, Rama must simply not be allowed to go to the forest. It is said that the emperor has granted Kaikeyi's wish that Rama go on exile. This is not a royal command, but something squeezed by Kaikeyi out of her puppet. Such orders are never given either by a monarch or by a father, but only by one who has become a slave to lust. Moreover, on what moral grounds can Rama be banished so summarily, when his purity is verily the envy of gods? The whole thing is sheer nonsense and deserves to be treated with utter contempt. Turning then to Rama, Lakshmana added, Dear brother, before the news of your so-called banishment spreads, I want you to immediately install yourself as the new monarch and take over the reins of the kingdom. While you do so, I shall stand right next to you and provide all the security required. If need be, father shall be apprehended and even interned. When evil has to be countered, coercion cannot be avoided even if it concerns one's own father. Meanwhile, having recovered a bit of her strength, Kausalya spoke again to Rama, saying, Rama, there is much merit in what your brother is saying. Moreover, if your father has a right over you, so do I as a mother. In even more right, I would insist. No matter what your father might have said to you, I simply forbid you from going to the forest. And as you know, in our tradition, mother even comes first even before the father. Faced with such diverse and compelling arguments, anyone else in Rama's place might have found it very difficult to defend the decision to proceed immediately on exile. However, for Rama, the embodiment of perfect equanimity, this was no problem. In calm and measured tones, he said to Kausalya, Mother, you speak of tradition. May I respectfully recall a few instances from the past where a son obeyed the father no matter what? There is, for example, the case of the son of sage Kandu, who, when ordered by his father to slaughter a cow, did so, even though killing a cow is supposed to be a deadly sin. You are also aware how, in our own dynasty, the 60,000 sons of Emperor Sagar perished while digging a huge pit to reach the netherworld. That happened while they were trying to execute a command of their father. Finally, there is the even more awesome example of Parasurama, who, at the command of his father's sage Jamadagni, beheaded his own mother Renuka. It's a different matter that Renuka was later restored to life. The point is that in trying to obey my dear father, I am merely acting in accord with an established principle. How can anyone take exception to that? Turning next to Lakshmana, Rama said, once again and softly, Lakshmana, I know more than anyone else about your valor and bravery and how you are ready to sacrifice even your very life for my sake. But dear brother, there is one thing that both you and Mother Kausalya must understand. You are both feeling anguish on account of attachment. Though a common feeling, attachment is always to the transient, whereas our real nature beckons us to truth which is eternal. For me, it is Sathya and Dharma that have always to come first, with no exceptions whatsoever, including those based on attachments. Such being the case, how can I ever wriggle out of the law of ultimate morality? When life itself is transient, what to say of rulership? Life must no doubt be lived, but must always be based on eternal principles. Time flies and 14 years would pass before we even notice it. I therefore appeal to both of you to allow me to leave and fulfill my duties as I see them. Rama continued, Dear Lakshmana, I have some special words for you. You are often prone to anger, which is not at all good for you. Exercising restraint, your primary duty at this hour is to make sure that both father and mother Kaikeyi feel reassured that I am indeed on my way to the forest, as duty demands. Not merely that. Stop the function planned for today, and when the time comes, you must specially make sure that Bharata is duly installed on the throne, because without that, the fulfillment of the boon granted by father would not be complete. By the way, there is no point in blaming Mantra or Kaikeyi for that matter. Nothing happens without the dispensation of providence. And if I have to go on exile, please understand that it had already been ordained by destiny. Once more I say to you, never give in to either anger or remorse. I think I have told you all that needs to be said. And now I must get ready to leave as soon as possible. Continuing to remain totally overwhelmed, Lakshmana was not willing to listen to the voice of reason. Seething with rage, he said in an agitated voice, Brother, you might feel that you are adhering to virtue and piety, but the people of Ayodhya would not accept that reasoning. I too am not pleased, for is it not said that it is the weak who talk of fate and meekly surrender to it? On the other hand, he is a strong man who bends destiny to his wishes. If you just walk away without even the slightest protest, what would people say? Everyone would wonder whether you are really strong and mighty as everyone believed till now. Knowing you as I do, I cannot let such a doubt to ever arise in the minds of our citizens. Therefore, no matter what you might say, I am determined to show the power of strength. Thwart the evil scheme so suddenly has to deprive you of what is rightfully yours, and see that you are in fact consecrated this very day as originally planned. Rama did not interrupt Lakshmana, for he knew that behind this anger was undying, selfless and eternal love. He gently heard Lakshmana out completely, and after wiping the tears in his brother's eyes, said softly, Brother, real strength is shown not by yielding to anger, but through forbearance. I am irrevocably committed to righteousness, and that in turn calls for me to obey Father's command unconditionally. You must understand and allow me to leave. Kausalya, who was a silent witness to all this, now decided that it was time for her to speak out again, and she pleaded that Rama take her along with him. Consoling her, Rama said, Mother, let us be practical. Although Father gave Mother Kaikeyi the boon that called for my exile, he feels deep anguish in his heart. He needs someone by his side who can comfort him, attend to his needs, and offer consolation. If you insist on coming away with me, Who would be there to take care of father? Pining and withering away, he might even die quickly. We cannot let that happen, can we? Just as I have my duty, I submit that you too have your duty cut out, which is to stand by father and provide him both physical as well as mental support in this hour of need. Please understand that and place duty above yourself. Raised as she had been in the noblest tradition, Kausalya realized that this was an argument she simply could not dismiss. Painfully resigning herself to the duty forced upon her by fate, she tearfully bade farewell to Rama, profusely blessing him and hoping that she would be alive to welcome him back when the current ordeal was over. Prostrating before Kausalya and then hugging her, Rama went round her 3 times in a clockwise direction, after which he left along with Lakshmana. One major release had been obtained, but there were still many more to be negotiated. From his mother's apartment, Rama then made his way to his own, where Sita, having completed all the austerities, dressed appropriately for the occasion, making sure to wear matching jewelry. As Rama entered, one look was enough to reveal to her that something was wrong. Rama's face wore a sad look and appeared both pale and distressed. Full of concern, Sita asked, "My dearest husband, this is a moment for great joy. But your face that normally glows with bliss seems to have worry writ large. Why? What's the reason? Has some sudden and unforeseen problem arisen? Please tell me at once, for I am consumed with deep anxiety." In a grave voice, Rama replied, "Yes, Sita, an unexpected change of plans has indeed become necessary." Rama then proceeded to give a brief account of all that had recently happened. Rama continued, "Sita, my proceeding on exile for 14 years has become inevitable, and now I would like to give you some advice about what you should do and what you should not do while I am away. First and foremost, make sure you never praise me in Bharata's presence. A king always comes first in a kingdom, and neither the king nor others present with him would like anyone to be glorified above him. Next, you must never omit to begin the day without offering salutations to our dear father and mother Kausalya. Indeed, I would go so far as to say that you must be respectful to all my mothers, that is to say Sumitra and Kaikeyi too. Actually, you are wise, and there is hardly any need for me to lecture you in detail, for you know very well how to conduct yourself as the eldest daughter-in-law of a great dynasty, adhering always to the path of righteousness. I shall therefore content myself with saying goodbye to you and making preparations to leave as early as possible." Sita, who at first was shocked by the news she had received, soon began to feel infuriated by the advice that followed, and her anger showed in her response. In a tone that reflected shock, surprise, and a bit of mockery as well, she said, "Rama, I am somewhat amused by your advice, which not only slights me, but does not also do any credit to you either. I have been brought up to believe that for a woman, her husband alone is the sole refuge, and at all times. If it means roughing it out in the forest along with you, then so be it. I assure you that I shall neither be a burden nor an obstacle to you in the discharge of your duties. But this much is clear to me, and I hope also to you. My place is with you always, and it shall be so even now as you leave for the forest. It is best you understand that. The sooner the better. Realizing that he had a tough problem in his hands, Rama changed his strategy somewhat and said, Sita, I fully understand your love for me, your dedication to our tradition, and your unwillingness to be away from me for even a moment. However, you must at the same time appreciate that there arise extraordinary situations where exceptions have to be made, and this is one of them. Sita, I am not merely leaving the kingdom, but withdrawing into the densest of forests to live like a hermit. I know about such forests, but you do not, for you have never lived in them. The conditions there are very harsh and most inhospitable, and it's not a simple matter to face violent storms and heavy downpours, not to mention the wild bees, snakes, and scorpions that are present all over the place. Perhaps one could put up with such difficulties for a few days or even a few months. But 14 years? How can I, knowing all the difficulties involved, agree to your accompanying me? If you do insist on coming with me, then I would have to spend my entire exile period worrying every minute about your welfare, rather than living like a hermit withdrawing from the senses and absorbed in meditation. It's a different matter if you were earlier accustomed to such extreme conditions as those who dwell in forests are. You're different. You're a princess brought up in a palace, accustomed to nothing but luxury thus far. That being the case, how do you expect me to be a willing party to inflict cruelty on you? Sita realized that Rama was not easy to vanquish in argument, and so she too changed her strategy, resorting now to copious tears and earnest pleas, making it much more difficult for Rama. And so the argument went on back and forth until Sita said, Rama, it looks like you simply do not want me to go with you. Despite my assurance that I am not in the least bit afraid of jungle life, and further that I am willing to put up with any difficulty no matter how severe. An impasse has been reached, with you not wanting to take me along and me insisting that I have to go with you. Under the circumstances, there is only one way out. Even while you are here, I shall consume poison and give up my life. In that event, the problem simply disappears. So saying, Sita collapsed into the arms of Rama and almost fainted. The time had come to cut the Gordian knot, and gently comforting Sita, Rama said, O pious lady, you have won. Frankly, until this moment, I was not quite sure about how exactly you felt. But that moment has passed. Your steadfastness to the highest norms of duty is not only a glory to you, but indeed to our dynasty as a whole. I thus have no hesitation whatsoever in taking you along with me, and give you my solemn assurance to take care of you as best as I can. Sita became so overjoyed. She broke loose from Rama, ran inside, came out with hands full of jewels, and began gifting them to the virtuous and the deserving as a gesture of joy. Lakshmana, who until now had been watching all this from a distance, noticed that while Rama had succeeded in persuading Kausalya to stay back, Sita managed to get his consent to go along. Feeling greatly encouraged, he now decided to make his prayer to go along with Rama and said, Dear brother, Earlier, I tried to persuade you that you must disregard the dictates of Kaikeyi, dismissing it as both illegal and immoral. However, you seem dead set on going to the forest. In that case, you have to let me go along with you, for I am nothing but your constant shadow. You just cannot refuse my request. And by the way, when I come, please remember that I would not only be on constant attendance on you, anticipating and striving to meet every need of yours, but also stand in guard whenever required. In other words, I would not be a burden, but a useful companion and a loyal servant as well. Rama listened carefully and then slowly replied, Lakshmana, you do make your arguments well, but you know, there are certain important subtleties that have escaped your notice. You know, when Bharata becomes king, he would not have much time for our dear mothers Kausalya and Sumitra. Added to that, there is the additional problem of Kaikeyi slighting them. As you are well aware, our mothers are both in great anguish. Under the circumstances, don't you think there ought to be someone here who can offer solace and comfort to them? If you also want to come away, who is going to do that? Think about it for a minute. Lakshmana understood that winning a straight argument against Rama was next to impossible. Summoning all the skills and acumen at his command, he replied, Brother, I have two submissions to make. Firstly, Bharata is so virtuous and so much inspired by your moral luster. I am certain he would always be very kind as well as courteous and show the highest respect to both Mother Kausalya as well as Mother Sumitra. Even if perchance he fails to, there is no cause for concern because Mother Kausalya is well endowed and thanks to her financial independence, she can well take care of herself. Besides, she has over the years helped thousands of villagers in various manners. So much so, they would all rush to help both Mother Kausalya and indeed Mother Sumitra as well. Thus, the welfare of our mothers is no issue at all. Please listen to my pleas and just allow me to follow you wherever you go. That's all I have to say for the present. And now I eagerly await your response. Deeply touched and moved, Rama responded, O noble son of Sumitra, I do not have words enough to praise you. Time is short, and so please take leave immediately of your mother and others dear to you. Next, proceed swiftly to the residence of our preceptor sage Vasishtha. Among the various objects he has in his altar for daily worship are many priceless weapons. From among them, bring, of course with the sage's prior permission, the following. Firstly, 2 bows gifted by Varuna, the deity who presides over the element water. 2 bows gifted by Varuna to Emperor Janaka during a yajna the latter once performed. Next, there are 2 shields that are impenetrable, and we need to have them also. Thirdly, there are 2 sacred quivers capable of providing an inexhaustible supply of arrows. Clearly, we would have great need for them, and so add them to your list. And lastly, there are 2 shining swords decorated with gold. You must bring them too. All the weapons that I am describing were presented to me by King Janaka at the time of my marriage. When we returned from Mithila, these weapons were deposited with our preceptor for safekeeping and daily worship. Till now, there was no need for these weapons, but the time has come when we must get them back. Mightily pleased that he had been permitted to accompany Rama, Lakshmana rushed to do all that he had been commanded to, and was soon back with all the specified weapons. One by one, Rama began going through the departure drill. Collection of weapons from the safe storage having been taken care of. The next item in Rama's checklist was to give charity in profusion. He wanted this not merely as a benevolent gesture, but more so for observing the true spirit of going into exile, namely withdrawing into the forest for the purpose of simple living and high thinking. If one had property back home, then inevitably the mind would be drawn into thinking about it. Keen to totally avoid all such distractions, Rama decided to give away almost all his personal wealth and belongings. Everything that Rama did always had to be according to a well-crafted plan and in full conformity with established procedures, embellished no doubt with grace, dignity and style. Accordingly, Rama asked Lakshmana to first fetch Suyagnya, the son of sage Vasishtha, and when the latter came, Rama not only lavished various gifts on him but also made Sita give gifts to Suyagnya's wife. That was just the curtain raiser, and following that, almost the entire day was spent in giving gifts to all sorts of people, starting with the loyal palace staff, who over the years had rendered valuable service in a variety of ways. While Rama kept on reeling out the names one after another, Lakshmana would make sure each recipient came to Rama's presence and was duly blessed. No doubt all this took a lot of time, but then at the end of it, there was not one deserving soul in Ayodhya who had been forgotten. For his part, Rama was very happy that he would be withdrawing into the forest without the excess baggage of property still owned. The ritual of giving charity having been duly completed, Rama, accompanied by Sita and Lakshmana, went to the Jainism, going on foot instead of by a chariot as he usually did. The sight of Rama walking in the streets hit the people of Ayodhya like a ton of bricks, driving home the fact that these three would soon go away on exile. No wonder then that the people lining the streets cried and lamented, instead of offering the usual greetings that they did to any member of the royal family as he or she drove by. Along with lamentations, abuses also were hurled in abundance against Kaikeyi. However, as always, Rama remained perfectly calm, least affected by public reaction. As Rama presented himself at the entrance to Dasaratha's palace, Sumantra quickly informed the emperor that Rama, having arrived along with Sita and Lakshmana, was seeking an audience. Dasaratha then said to Sumantra, "My dear minister, please ask all my queens to come here immediately. I wish to see Rama only when all of them are present." It was only when all had assembled that the exiles to be were admitted to the royal presence. Palms joined in respect. Rama approached Dasaratha and said, "Dear father, who is also a revered emperor, all three of us have come to take leave of you prior to going to the forest. Please bless us all." For a moment, Dasaratha remained speechless, after which he said, "Rama, you must understand that by granting a most unreasonable boon to Kaikeyi, I have now become mentally incapacitated. Ayodhya cannot afford to have such a ruler. An emergency has arisen, and what you must do is to first hold me captive and then take charge of the kingdom immediately." This obviously was totally unacceptable to Rama, who consoled Dasaratha, saying, "Father, time always flies and does so more quickly than we realize. Please be assured that before you know, all of us would be back here to greet you." Meanwhile, alarmed by Dasaratha's words, Kaikeyi nudged Dasaratha and muttered under her breath that he had better shut up, upon which the utterly devastated emperor said tearfully, Rama, truthful as you always are, I reconcile myself to your firm resolve. All I wish is a safe journey for you, and that we would meet again in happier circumstances. It's going to be evening, and night would soon fall by the time you leave. Can you not spend the night here with me and leave in the morning? Rama understood the pain that his father felt. However, not wanting to show any inclination to delay his departure by the slightest amount, Rama replied, Father, maybe by spending the night, I could enjoy for just a little bit longer the comforts and facilities that I have been used to all along. But what would happen when I leave tomorrow? It is better to leave when one's mind is firm. Unnecessary delays would merely bring in unwanted complications. Unable to stop Rama, Dasharatha then embraced him and immediately collapsed to the ground unconscious, even as everyone present began to weep. Time is up, and I am afraid I have to stop here, though at a painful moment in the narrative. Ramayana is like real life, with more downs than ups, and so I guess you would understand. The important point is that the Lord is sending us a silent message that when He incarnates, it is no cakewalk for Him either. Goodbye for now, and I hope you would join me again next week. Jai Sai Ram.